Joseph Hall, in 2011, was an 11-year-old boy with a traumatic past and home life. When he was 13, in 2013, he was sentenced to 7 years in juvenile prison by means of a bench trial, in which the judge is the sole jury analyzing the case. Alone and abandoned by his remaining family, he was found guilty of murdering his neo-Nazi father in order to save what was left of the family's content and his stepmother's happiness. Manipulation, abuse, and his father's strong and violent choices shaped Joseph's idea of how to act. There was no in-between. He had been raised amongst radical ideas, drug abuse, and psychological torment. Jeff Hall, Joseph's father, had found neo-Nazism after 2008 and completely dedicated himself to the hatred and discipline of the nationalist social movement. The boy's family witnessed his troubled upbringing, violence in school, and what could later be described as both an influence from his father and direct defiance. It can be discussed that acting out the same way his father taught him was perhaps a call for attention, consequential acts of asking for someone to look at him twice, enough to see beyond his violence and get at his father, whom Joseph claimed abused him, and his nanny turned stepmother, both physical and psychologically. The 10-year-old boy was described as having mental disabilities, but as the violent past and truth unfolded, the motives behind the murder increasingly more obvious and demented still, authorities and citizens were shocked, lost, and without a clue on how to approach such a deep-rooted subject at first. His birth mother was negligent, a struggling drug addict, so social services delivered Joseph to his father, a frustrated, gun-wielding fella who chose to raise his son the same way, developing him into neo-Nazi ideals too. For close to 3 years, 32-year-old Jeffrey Hall, Joseph's father, had been having difficulty finding work because of the economic downturn in the construction industry. Due to his perception that Jews and other non-whites were responsible for his unemployment and thinning job market, he associated with the National Socialist movement and became a local leader in the neo-Nazi movement, organizing riots and striking fear within the local community and its inhabitants. For Joseph's father to be considered over his biological mother by social services helps paint a picture of how bad his home life was. Even as the police intervened, things would go bad to worst, and it's believed that maybe because of this, Joseph's belief in the authorities became progressively weaker and hopeless. Jeff bragged about how he was teaching his eldest son, Joseph, to carry a gun, shoot it, use night vision, and other equipments he left easily accessible at the house. At this time, Joseph was 10 years old and shared a strong bond with his stepmother, also his father's regular abuse victim. He led the house with threats and violence, unaware of how young but capable his son had become, to both judge and learn from his father's hateful neo-Nazi teachings and punishments he inflicted most commonly to his own son, other children, and wife. On May 1st, 2011, Joseph Hall, at 10 years old, took his father's gun and shot him once in the back of the head as he slept on the couch sometime during 4 a.m. Eventually, the child told police of how he took his father's revolver from a shelf in the closet, aimed the gun at his father's ear whilst he slept, and shot him. Joseph testified that on the day prior to him murdering his father, the older men had threatened to remove all the smoke detectors and burn the house down whilst everyone slept. The 10-year-old admitted he was tired of his dad's physical and psychological abuse towards him and his mother. His 26-year-old stepmother, and whom he called Mom, also said that Hall had been violent towards her and her son. Joseph had siblings. Him and all the others were reportedly punished through various extremes on a daily basis. The police report noted how, upon entering their property, foul smells abundantly filled the atmosphere, a strong sense of urine permeating the whole house, but especially the children's room. Joseph claimed his inspiration behind the murder was an episode of Criminal Minds, whence a boy killed his abusive father but faced no consequence for it. Krista, his stepmother, was charged for storage of firearms and child neglect, but it was theorized that her involvement behind Joseph's actions might have actually been a lot more prominent and decisive than first believed by authorities. Somehow, Joseph believed that shooting his father in the head wouldn't kill him, but somehow reset him into being a kinder, better father once he woke up. The idea is thought to have been introduced into the child's mind through his stepmother, Krista, that despite also seeking freedom from Jeff, found herself incapable of acting against him. For a 10-year-old, this and some small inspiration, the idea that he was saving his family and Criminal Minds, was enough and plentiful a reason to commit such a crime and murder his father for the better and perhaps under Krista's negligent manipulation. Like a butterfly effect, hate feeds hate, and unless a strong, kind soul is involved, things sometimes will turn out for the worst. If anything, Joseph Hall's crime at 10 years old should inspire us to become a better version of ourselves each and every day, so that children, growing and living today, looking at us, may choose also to be kinder and greater, not out of fear but love, compassion, and a benevolent sense of community. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.